Without a second thought, Kezil dove deep into the river. His movements were swift and sure as he reached the children and pulled them to safety, his tail now clearly visible to the astonished onlookers. In the heart of a mystical land, the village of Nkoroko stood out. Enveloped in lush greenery, the village was unlike any other, for it was believed that the children born here held supernatural powers, blessings, or curses bestowed upon them by the gods. The origin of these powers lay in a tale as old as time. The gods, enchanted by the village women's unparalleled beauty, descended from the heavens to father their children. These divine offspring were revered, though no one had ever seen the gods themselves. In this village lived a devoted couple, Ekaba and Oluoma. Their love was pure and strong, but their hearts ached with an unfulfilled desire to have a child of their own. As the years passed, their desperation grew, and they found themselves turning to all manner of remedies and advice. Finally, an old friend suggested they seek out the village witch, a woman known for her ancient wisdom and mysterious powers. The journey to the witch's hut was fraught with anxiety. Nestled at the edge of a dark forest. As they approached, the air thickened with anticipation. Ekaba knocked on the wooden door, and it creaked open to reveal the witch, her eyes sharp and knowing. "What brings you here, Ekaba and Oluoma?" she asked. With trembling voices, they shared their plight. To their astonishment, the witch nodded thoughtfully. "It is possible for you to have a child," she said, "but the price is high. You must gather 4 rare ingredients." Their eyes widened with hope and fear as she listed the ingredients. First, the cry of a baby born at the sacred hour on a Hute market day, captured in a bottle. Second, the horn of a Salvador lion, a beast that roams the treacherous mountains nearby. Third, a 2-headed chicken. And lastly, a monkey with 4 arms. The couple felt a mixture of hope and dread. The tasks were daunting, but their desperation gave them strength. As luck would have it, the next Hute market day brought not 1, but 2 babies into the world at the sacred hour. Oluoma watched from a distance in shock. A once-in-a-jubilee occurrence. With stealth and care, Oluoma captured the cries of both infants, understanding the rarity of the moment. Next, Ekaba and Oluoma turned their attention to the next ingredient. They sold their belongings to afford the village's most renowned hunters. Together, they braved the perilous journey to the mountain tops. The journey was tough. For days, they scoured the forest and bushes until they finally encountered the majestic creature. After a tense and dangerous hunt, they succeeded in obtaining the lion's horn. The remaining quests led them to distant lands, and through many challenges, they managed to capture a 2-headed chicken from a thick cave and a 4-armed monkey from a dense, untamed jungle. Each triumph brought them closer to their dream. Returning to the witch, they presented the ingredients. The witch, with a knowing smile, accepted the offerings and began her incantations. The mixture of the elements was complex, involving ancient chants and precise rituals. Finally, she handed them a potion. Drink this when you get home, and your greatest heart's desire will be fulfilled. The days that followed were filled with anticipation. In a few months, their prayers were answered. Oluoma was with child. The village buzzed with excitement and curiosity, but none could fathom the true nature of what was to come. The pregnancy advanced at an unnatural pace. In just 4 months, Oluoma went into labor. When the moment arrived, the couple's joy knew no bounds. Oluoma gave birth to twin boys, Zikel and Kezil, who appeared more like 1-year-olds at birth, with peculiar spiral symbols on their arms. The twins were celebrated as miraculous, and the villagers marveled at their rapid development. As they grew, their extraordinary abilities became apparent. Zikel, with his remarkable agility, often climbed the tallest trees and tamed the wild animals with ease. Kezil, on the other hand, swam like a fish and communicated with animals in a way that astounded everyone. Despite their growing powers, Ekaba and Oluoma remained vigilant, fearing the revelation of the boys' true identities. On a fateful night, a brilliant light emanated from the boys' room. Rushing in, Ekaba and Oluoma were shocked to see Zikel with wings sprouting from his back and Kezil with a tail. The next morning, they hurried to the witch's hut, confessing what they had witnessed the night before. The witch, far from surprised, revealed that she had known all along about the twins' divine nature. "These boys are demigods," she explained. "Their powers are great, but they must be controlled. Keep them away from sugarcane, beans, treetops, and river water, for these could trigger their true nature." The family's life changed dramatically. Once the pride of the village, Zikel and Kezil now lived in isolation, their powers hidden from the world. Zikel became a skilled hunter, providing for the village and secretly cherishing the love for the king's beautiful daughter, Pera. Kezil, the village's greatest fisherman, impressed everyone with his catches, though he never entered the waters with others. As the boys matured, their parents aged, and the promise to guard their secrets weighed heavily. But destiny had other plans. Pera, the king's daughter, was a strikingly beautiful and spirited young woman. She had grown up hearing tales of the village's legendary children, but never had imagined she would be entwined in such a tale herself. From the moment she first laid eyes on Zikel, she was captivated by his strength, grace, and the aura of mystery that surrounded him. Zikel equally harbored deep feelings for the Princess Pera, but was restrained by his fear of revealing his true nature. Every time Zikel delivered his hunts to the palace, Pera would watch from her window, her heart pounding with each glance they exchanged. She longed for him to approach her, to speak to her, but Zikel, mindful of his secret, kept his distance. One day, unable to contain her feelings any longer, Pera confided in her father, the king. She admitted her love for Zikel and her desire to be with him. The king, a wise and loving father, had noticed the mutual affection between his daughter and the hunter. Smiling, he promised to arrange a meeting, hoping to unite them in a bond that seemed destined by the stars. Kezil had formed a close bond with his niece and nephew, Nala and Boyo. These two children adored their uncle and would often accompany him to the fishing site. Kezil cherished their company and delighted in teaching them the secrets of the trade. Their laughter and innocent curiosity brought him joy and a sense of normalcy amidst the hidden truths of his existence. One sunny morning, Kezil was joined by Nala and Boyo. The children were excited, chattering eagerly about their day. Kezil, in his usual meticulous manner, packed the fishing equipment, ensuring everything was in place. However, in his haste, he forgot the bucket of bait at home. He only realized this after arriving at his fishing canoe. As he was unpacking, immediately he instructed the children to wait by the canoe while he returned home to retrieve the forgotten bucket of bait. As Nala and Boyo eagerly anticipated Kezil's return, Nala, who had a naturally adventurous spirit, could not contain her excitement.
"Why don't we surprise Uncle Kezil by catching some fish before he gets back?"
she suggested with a gleam in her eye. Boyo, cautious by nature, hesitated. "I don't think that's a good idea, Nala. We should wait for Uncle Kezil to come back," he cautioned. Despite Boyo's reservation, Nala persisted.
"Come on, Boyo. It will be fun, and Uncle Kezil will be so impressed," she urged.
After a moment's hesitation, Boyo surrendered. "All right, but we have to be very careful." With Boyo's reluctant agreement, Nala cast her line into the water. After several attempts, she finally succeeded in hooking a small fish. Grinning triumphantly, she held up her catch for all to see.
"I say we use this one as a bait for an even bigger fish,"
she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Boyo, unable to resist the thrill, eagerly agreed. Moments later, a massive fish took the bait, pulling with such force that Nala struggled to hold on. Boyo joined her, trying to help, but the fish was too powerful. The struggle grew frantic as the fish dragged them towards the water's edge. Just then, Kezil, returning with the bait, saw the danger and sprinted towards them. But before he could get closer, the children were pulled into the water, their screams piercing the air. Without a second thought, Kezil dove deep into the river. His movements were swift and sure as he reached the children and pulled them to safety, his tail now clearly visible to the astonished onlookers. Simultaneously, Zikel's day at the palace had arrived. Clad in his finest attire, his muscular frame barely contained by his clothes, he approached the palace with excitement. As he entered the grand hall, he saw Pera waiting, her face alight with joy. The king, noticing the mutual affection, made his intentions clear. "Zikel, you have served this village well. I see the way my daughter looks at you. I would like to offer you her hand in marriage." Zikel, overwhelmed, could barely contain his joy.
"Yes, Your Highness,"
he said, his voice choked with emotion.
"I will be honored."
The queen, beaming with approval, suggested that they seal the engagement with a celebratory meal. The table was adorned with an array of delicacies. Pera picked up a bean cake, her favorite, and offered it to Zikel with a loving smile. Unthinking, in his euphoria, Zikel accepted and took a bite. As he savored the cake, a sudden hush fell over the room.
We hope you're enjoying the story. Kindly subscribe to our channel so we can bring you more stories like this.
Zikel opened his eyes to see the horrified expressions of those around him. He glanced at his reflection in a polished silverware and saw, to his shock, a pair of wings unfolding from his back. Para gasped, but her eyes remained fixed on Zikel. In a panic, Zikel sprang from his seat, his wings extending fully, and fled the palace, flying into the sky. The royal family and guests were left in stunned silence. Meanwhile, at the river, Kezil had just pulled Nala and Boyo to safety. The villagers who had witnessed the rescue gathered around, their eyes wide with disbelief. As Kezil laid the children on the shore, Nala, still shivering from the ordeal, looked up at him with wide eyes.
Uncle Kezil, you have a tail,
she exclaimed, her voice a mix of awe and confusion. Kezil nodded, his heart heavy with the weight of the secret he had kept for so long.
Yes, my dear, he said softly. I do, but that doesn't change who I am or how much I care for you.
At the palace, the king, struggling to process what had just happened, tried to maintain his composure. Suddenly, the heavy wooden doors burst open. An onlooker from the river incident stumbled in, breathless and frantic.
My king! My king!
He gasped, struggling to catch his breath.
I have just come from the river. Kezil saved 2 children using incredible powers. He grew scales and a tail emerged when he was in the water. It is true. The legends are true.
The king, still recovering from Zikel's transformation, looked at the breathless messenger, his mind racing to process the magnitude of what he was hearing. As the crowd murmured in shock and confusion, Para stood alone, looking distraught. Zikel was nowhere to be seen. Meanwhile, at the river, Kezil quickly reassured the children, urging them to not be scared. He then made his way back home, where his parents, Ekaba and Oluoma, were anxiously waiting. They had heard the commotion and feared the worst. When Kezil arrived, he found his brother already there. Their parents were shocked and fearful. Zikel! Kezil! What has happened? Their mother, Oluoma, cried out, her voice trembling. Zikel, with his wings fully visible, stepped forward.
Mother, father, our true nature has been revealed. I could not hide my wings, and Kezil's scales and tails were seen by many.
Kezil also said,
We can no longer hide who we are. It is time to embrace our true selves, even if it means leaving this place.
Their father, Ekaba, embraced them tightly, tears streaming down his face.
My sons, you are extraordinary. If you are not welcome here as you are, we will find a place where you are.
Just as they were gathering their things to leave, a loud commotion was heard outside. The king, the princess Para, and the villagers had followed them, determined to make amends. The king stepped forward, his eyes softening as he saw the twins preparing to leave.
Zikel, Kezil,
the king called out.
Wait!
King, with humility in his voice, spoke again.
We know the secret of our land, and it is a blessing to have gods among us. We accept you, and we will protect you.
The princess went to Zikel and told him, I accept you the way you are, and I am not scared of you. There is no need to hide anymore. The children, Nala and Boyo, ran to hug Kezil, saying,
We love you even more now.
In the days that followed, Zikel and Kezil were hailed as heroes. Zikel continued to serve as a hunter for the village, his wings now a symbol of his celestial origin and his strength. Para stood by his side, their love a beacon of hope and unity. Kezil as well embraced his true self, using his abilities to become the greatest fisherman the village and nearby lands had ever known. Nala and Boyo, no longer fearful, were proud of their uncle, and their bond grew even stronger. The twins' parents, Ekaba and Oluoma, were filled with pride and relief. They had feared the revelation of their son's powers, but now they saw that it had brought the village together in a way they had never imagined. Nkoroko flourished under the twins' watchful eyes. Zikel and Pera's love story became a legend, symbolizing acceptance and unity. Kezil continued to teach the village children the value of courage and kindness. The village became a place of miracles, attracting visitors from far and wide. Years later, the village gathered for a grand festival, celebrating the twins' legacy. Zikel and Kezil stood together, their hearts full of pride. The witch, watching from a distance, nodded in satisfaction, knowing that the prophecy had been fulfilled. Nkoroko was forever changed, a beacon of hope and unity. The divine twins, Zikel and Kezil, had not only found acceptance, but had also transformed their village into a place of legend. Their story was told for generations, a reminder that even in the face of fear and uncertainty, the power of unity and understanding could transform the world. The end.